everything in one sitting. We're not designed like that. You know what I mean? It's not something that you can just download and then it's there, which I appreciate because it makes you better. You know, you start seeking more information, or you might begin to, you know, ask more questions. And that's perfectly part of the learning experience. And I know that you all know that as well. So let's just go ahead and get started. Okay. The lesson today we have is lesson number 11. And in it, we have, of course, our vocabulary words. All right. And as you can see, I think there's going to be 11 of them here. Okay. So, you know, take your time again, because these are the words that they're going to use within the lessons. These are the words that there's going to be in your exercises, you know, the baraka, the zera, the makom, and, you know, like we used our word today. And our Torah portion was me, you know, me or ma. Okay. So we got that right here. You know, we got ma and then we got me. That's part of it. Right. And then you hear a lot of other words that I talk about a lot, like fear, yira, and kokma, and sham, and hine. And I told you today, if we went against the widow or the stranger or the orphan, Yah says, I'll kill you. So he says, harakti, and that's right here. That's over here to your left on the screen, harakti. Okay. What I like to do is I want us to focus on these words here. Okay. I think this is a big part of your learning experience, right? So I'm going to say a word in Hebrew, and I want you to turn your volume up, and I want you to hear how I say it. And I want you to, you know, I want to say a word, and then I want you to tell me what I said. I want you to use any of these words right here, okay? From this group right here. I want you to use words from out of here, okay? I might switch it up. I might just make a sound, and I want you to tell me what word I did say or which word I was about to say, okay? Just so I can see if you're kind of hearing what I'm saying. So if I talk about, you know, a barake, ba or bay rake, bay rake.
Be blessed.
Yes. Why is it he?
Three letters, perfect.
Yes, perfect. So if I wanted to say the female, this is not in there, but if I wanted to say bareka, then I know that I'm talking about she blessed, which is past tense, okay? Baraka. Baraka. Huh?
A blessing.
A blessing. What's the difference between Beidrek and Baraka?
There's a hey added to the end.
Yes, and the cough has changed its form. So the form is not a final, it's a regular one that goes, you see, in the middle of a word, okay? So anytime the finals look, they'll look, change the color here. The finals have this in particular letter. The ones that don't, and they're not a final, it's going to look like that. There's essentially the same sound, just because one is on the end, it changes its form. Okay. Zera, zera.
A seed.
Yes, a seed. Yes, correct. Zera could be a seed, but we know that in the Torah, it never calls a zera a zadraim, or it doesn't have any of that because it's considered to be more than one automatically. Okay. Ma quom. Ma quom.
A place.
Yes, a place. And a kamo.
Like.
Yes, kamo. Okay. Bodrek, kadrag, quahol, badraka, zedra, makom. Kamo. Barek harag. You make your song up. You have to sing it, okay, for it to stick, for it to make sense for you, okay? That's what I want you to remember. You just saying it is not going to be enough. It's just not enough, okay? So the harag, the quahol, qua.
Congregation.
Yes, it's a congregation, it's a gathering. Okay. All right, so we have those words over there. Let's flip the script, go over to this side. Okay. First word is hine. Hine.
Behold.
Yes. Hine. Lama. Lama.
Why?
Why? Tell me why. See, ma.
It's ma is
What?
What? Yeah. Or it could be ma, or it could be me. It could be me or ma. But still, you can see that the letters are still the same. It's a ma, a mim, and a hey. Another one's a mim and a hey. That has just different sounds, right? And depends on the text in which it's being used. So ma or me, still the same thing. Okay. Yira. Yira.
Fear.
Yep. Okay. So I'm going to say something. You tell me what I said. And you just figure it out. Okay. I'm going to introduce another word that's not here, but I want you can figure it out. Lama asa yere. Lama asa yere.
Did he fear?
Yeah. Why do you fear? Why do you? Because asa means to do or to make, right? Lama, the Shabbat, Sham.
Why is the Shabbat there?
Yes. Good job. Hine, Yom Shilishi. Hine, Yom Shilishi.
Behold.
Huh?
Behold the day of Shlishi is
Tuesday.
Shlishi.
Yeah.
Third day.
The third day. There you go. See, so once you start getting these things, when you have the time, I want you to make up little phrases for yourself. Don't worry about the vowels and whether or not it's in the right context. Just say the word. Because as you notice, these words are going to change. Like when it gets into certain what they call a construction phase, then the lama might turn to not la but la. You understand? And we're going to learn how that works. Okay, but these are the things that which Chandra kind of kept popping in my head because she said, "What I want to know is what's the easiest thing to do because there's so many rules." The name of the game is vocabulary. That's the name of the game. You only learned how to read so you can learn the vocabulary. Once you learn the vocab, then you're good because you'll be able to recognize these words just by the sound, okay, or by sight. You'll be able to see it. Lama, you got to train your brain, and so that's what this is about. Okay, so we spent a little time with that. I want you to again find a way to sing these things. Get into character, make fun out of it. So rule number 6 is going to continue about weak letters, okay, that are in the verbs. This is called the part 2 of what was already been taught. What we've been taught so far is that these are the letters, the yod, the wa, the nun, and the hey, and they're weak. They're weak because they fly away like a dove. They don't have that in here, but the yona is a dove because that's what yona means. Yona is a dove which flies away. That's why he tried to fly away when he tried to get away from Yah. Okay. So you can remember that about his name. All right. So it's weak. And so because they're weak and they're inside of a verb, we're talking about verbs. If these letters are in there, those letters will drop out. Okay. They'll drop out like I told you, or what you could say, fly away, if that's easier for you to remember. But also too, the other part that they didn't cover when they told us in the first part 1 is that they drop out, but they didn't tell you that they can also be replaced by other letters. So that can get a little confusing or a little hairy because you're like, man, I thought, okay, I'm trying to figure out, well, where's this letter flying to and when does it fly? Where they're going to go over it again and let us know. And of course, we've already looked at it, but we'll look at it again. So when we looked at it in detail, in the first part about it dropping out, the letters they can drop out. Now what we want to do is let me see here. What we want to do now is we're going to take a look at how these letters are replaced and how they're replaced by other letters. Of course, when you get your copy, you'll be able to fully understand it. So weak letters can be replaced, not only drop out, but they can be replaced by other letters. Okay, so they're going to give us some examples. This rule basically only applies to the verbs that are ending in a hey. Okay, so they're going to show us what that looks like. We've already seen that when we add a wa, okay, with this one right here, to the end of the verb, the hey drops out. And they give us some examples of what that was like. And I think I forgot exactly what lesson this is, but as we continue, you'll be able to go back in your notes and see where it was. So I'm going to ask you right here, what are the 3 root letters? What are the 3 root letters? Where's the root?
Root is the resh, the aleph, and the hey.
Yes. And that would be called ra'ah. Okay. And so when they put that oo on the end, right? Because now the oo right there represents first person, second person, third person. What is this?
Third hey.
Okay. So it's the third. Okay. It's the third person. And is it singular or plural? Is it ma plural or ma singular?
Plural.
Plural, yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to start talking Hebrew to you. Ra, okay, so the ra'ahu becomes ra'u. So the hey drops off because they added this ending on the end. Okay, so those are the pieces that they add. So you can add all type of pieces on the end. You can have the u on the end. You can have the nu on the end. You can have the the ta on the end. You can have the ta from the feminine perspective. You can have that on the end. You can have the tem on the end. You can have that on the end. You can have the 10 on the end. You can have all these endings. So when you got a weak letter inside of a verb, a weak verb, it'll be the yod, it'll be the wa, it'll be the noon, and be the hey. Today, they're trying to tell us about this letter because this rule that we're discussing only applies to this letter today. Do all these other ones drop out? Yes, they do. But now it's telling us if these verbs have a hey on the end of it, it can be replaced not just with this letter or this ending right here, but also too, if there's another letter that's similar to it, it'll change it, it'll replace it. So let me explain that. Sorry for the angle. I didn't know my camera was off that much. So the hey drops out. Okay, here you go. The next example is alahu. Okay, alahu. Okay, the 3 letters for the root is the ayin, the lamed, and the hey. As soon as they put that u on it, it becomes alu. Since it's a weak hey, it drops out. Since the verb is weak, the hey is going to drop off. It's there, and then it disappears. Okay. So what is letting us know is that anytime you add something to any root with a hey on the end, the hey is going to drop out or it's going to be replaced. Okay. So now we're going to see that when you add on any of the other endings, because now they were just dealing with this one ending, which is the what? The letter
Okay.
that we were just dealing with.
The hey.
Yeah, we're dealing with the hey, but because we added this letter on the end, he's talking about this letter here. Yeah. Now we're going to be talking about any of the other endings. There's more than just this ending. There's other endings, okay, that are supposed to be added on, okay? And I forgot exactly what all of those, I know them in my head, but I think you got a sheet that tells you what are these verb endings, okay? So when you add these verb endings to it, you'll realize that, wait a minute, the hey can actually change from, not only drop off, but it can actually change as well. It can change from one letter to the next. And they're going to give us an example of that. So this is how they're going to open up the lesson on that letter not being removed, but by changing. So I don't want you to get confused. We're still talking about the same thing. The first example that they're giving to us about this weak verb, and when you add something to it, they're talking in the past tense, okay? Because anytime you add something to the end of a verb, it's in the what?
It's in the past.
It's in the past. Remember, I told you there are a few things that you're looking for. When you look at something in the Hebrew, I want you to always remember this. Don't you ever forget what I'm telling you, okay? You want to know if it's in the past, if it's in the present, or it's in the future. This is how this works. Past, present, future. Okay, so those are the things you're going to be looking for. Also, you're going to look for, is it in the first person, second person, third person? You're going to find that out. You're going to always be looking for this. Then you're also going to be looking for, is it masculine or feminine? It's either one of the two. And last but least, is it singular or is it plural? That's what you're going to be looking for. Okay. And I forgot one here because it's male and female. There's also one called common. That means it's inclusive of both male and female. Okay. Like us and we, okay, and our, that kind of thing. So those are the things that you and I need to be looking for. So the language is set up in a past, present, future. The language is set up with a first person, second person, third person. The language is male, female, or common, or it is in a singular or the plural. Okay. So in this example, it talks about she in the past tense. Okay. And we're talking about if it's in the past and it's perfect, it means that it's done. This action is completed. So if we want to say she in the past tense, we know that we have to add onto the end of it. Okay. Onto the end of the three root letters of the verb. So here's an example, shamar, which was one of the words that I went over in my lesson today. That means he guarded. Okay. He guarded. Past tense. Well, there's no ending. He doesn't need an ending because it's already perfect. It's already implied that it's perfect. Okay. It's the third person masculine singular. If I'm talking about she's the third person, she's the feminine, and she's the singular. I would say shamura, shamura, shamura. What we added was what? What did we add?
The hay.
But don't forget this little thing right here. That okay. Yeah, because a hey on the end, it indicates femininity, but the real femininity is this. That's what you always want to remember. Okay. You always want that in there. So shamura. So if you just knew the word, if you knew your vocabulary word shamar, then you knew this ending right here, this piece of the puzzle, you'd be like, oh, she guarded. Because you know this right here is third person masculine, it's perfect. Okay. So if the verb itself ends in a hey, what we'll have is two hays. And don't let the way that they're speaking get you confused. What they're saying is this, is that say that this, and that was, I think it's culture. I don't know what it has to do with, it's just the way their mind is. I don't know. I don't want to be offensive, but it's just different. Because I think this was not really the right time to say this. I think I would have said it differently. Okay. If you think about it, it says, if the verb itself ends in a hey, what we will have is two hays in a row. Well, why are they mentioning it in regards to this right here? You see, they haven't gone to another example. I would have put this information right here, not next to this. I would have ended this because it's getting confusing because you're like, well, I don't see a hey over here. All I see is a resh, and I added that. So what are you talking about? So you know what I mean? So if you're going to mention something, it should actually come, it should have been separated. That's what I'm saying. This section right here should be separate from this down here on the bottom. That's what it should have been, because this example is shamar and shamara has nothing to do with two hays. Okay. But I don't know, maybe they did it for the sake of squeezing information into the page. These two hays that they're making reference of in a row has to do with something that has to be down here. You see, We cannot have two hays next to each other. Basically, that's what they're saying. Here are the examples. If you know that the root is ra'ah, okay, right there. Forget about the symbols and all that underneath. Just look at the letters. If you know that your root is these three letters right here and it has a hay on the end, if you wanted to make it feminine, they're going to say you can't do that. You can't have two hays next to each other. The femininity of this is not just the hay, it's the actually right here with that, the hay in that. Okay. So what they're saying is you can't have two hays next to each other. It couldn't be ra'aha. It's not going to be that. But what they're going to do is they're going to change the letter hay is going to be replaced by the tav. So instead of saying ra'aha, it's going to be ra'atha. Ra'atha. Okay. So when you look at this, you'd be like, I thought ra'ah was a resh, an aleph, and a hey. But I see a resh, an aleph, and a tav. Okay. And then I see this extra hey. Well, you should know that this extra hey right here represents femininity. And it means it's in the past. Okay. And you should know that when you're talking about she saw, it'd be the third person feminine singular. Okay. So the replacement on any verb that has a hey as its last letter, if you're adding the femininity to it, it's going to be replaced. This hey is going to get out of the way and they're going to put a tav there. Somebody tell me, according to the lessons that we've done so far, is this something, or let me rephrase that. I won't say that. The semikuth form, this happens. It was like I think in your third lesson, in the semikuth form, where if you have to change, like it says sus and then susa, the ha would drop off and it turn to oath, that kind of thing. But if there was no letter hey there, you didn't have to go through any transformation. If it was isha, it would go to isheth. So we see that they're still using that same theme. Okay. So the hey is replaced by the tav when you're talking about a weak verb, when you add the femininity to a verb that ends in a hey. It's kind of confusing, but let me rephrase it. Any verb that ends with this letter hey right here, okay, and it doesn't have the on the end of it, it's perfect in its third person masculine singular. If I need to add this to the end of that in particular verb, that verb is going to be transformed by removing the hey and replacing it with a tav. So it won't be two hays in a row. You can't have two hays next to each other. So what they'll do is they'll get rid of, they'll replace the hey that was right here with a tav. And then they'll keep the femininity. You still see the femininity. Femininity is still right here. But if you know your vocabulary and you know that this is a female right here, then you know all the reason why they changed this, because there is no word called ra'ath. There is no vocabulary word called ra'ath. So this is just going through a rule change, okay? That's all it is. The hey is replaced by the tav. The hey is replaced by the tav. And you will get this when you're reading. But I want you to remember this. I want you to remember that what you're looking for is the pieces of the puzzle. If it has it's feminine, third person, singular. So then you'll know your vocabulary, but wait a minute. There is no ra'ath. Oh, that must have been ra'ah. And I know ra'ah means to see. Okay. So who saw? She saw. How do you know it's she? Because right here is the ah. Okay. So that's what I want you to look for. Because this one right here, this is, you would think this is a preposition by itself, all. But it's Allah. It's Allah right here. And Allah by itself is a third person masculine singular, but I need to feminize to say she went up. So it wouldn't be Allaha, it'd be Alatha right here. Okay, so it goes through some type of change. And that's just a rule that they have that you have to be aware of. But if you know your vocabulary, you'll be able to understand and see it, and you'll be able to like, okay, I get it. She was, it's not haya ha, it's haya tha. Also, two other added letters in the past tense. Okay. So now they told us about what happens when you have the hey, you can't have two hays next to each other. But now when you add any other letter, okay, and what does it mean, any other letter? Are they talking about aleph, bet, gimel, dalet, hey, vav, zayin, ket, tet, yod? No, what they're talking about are endings. That's what they're talking about. When you add any other letter onto the end, and what letter are you talking about? Endings, not just any letter, endings, endings. Those are endings. This is an ending. It's in the past. This is an ending. It's in the past. This is an ending. It's in the past. You understand? So the rule here is this. If you add any other ending, okay, it's not that is not this, then that in particular hey is going to be replaced by a yod. That's what's going to happen. Okay. So that's another rule that you have to know, right? But are you going to remember it? Not the first time. You're not going to remember this. You're not. There's so many rules you're not. So what am I going to teach you today? What am I going to try to get you to understand? All I want you to understand is that there are rules. But I also want you to really understand that the only thing I want you to be worried about is that which is on the end, okay, and the root. That's what I want you to know. I want you to know if something's on the end, it's in the what? Past, present, and future.
Past.
Past. So if you know your root, you'll be like, okay, something got added on the end. Oh, it's in the past. Oh, okay. This is an ending. Oh, that means past. Because I know Allah means to go up. All right. So who went up? The new right here is what? The new is we. You see? So that's what I want you to remember. Okay. When you get this, you can study it out. You'll understand. Oh, well, why is it all of a sudden these yods right here? Why every time I read the Hebrew and it's in some type of sentence, that it's supposed to be it's supposed to be a resh and an aleph and a hey, but the hey is gone, and now it's a resh, aleph and a yod and a tav and another yod. What happened? Well, it's telling you that anytime you put something in the past, present, or future, if it's weak, if any of those letters are weak, they're either going to drop off or they're going to be replaced. That's it. That's all you need to understand. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions right quick. The you right here in this in particular word right here, what letter tells you that it's you?
The yod.
Huh, interesting. You were. You were. So there's two things going on here. There's a you in this word and there's a were in this word. That's all I want to show you. There's a you and there's a were. What's the you in this word and what's the were in this word? You has to be an ending.
So the tav then.
The tav, and that is first person, second person, third person. Yes, you said it. It's the second person. Okay. So I'm going to do it again for us. Go to the top one. There is, and this is how you learn. You got to break stuff up into pieces. If this Let me explain something. This right here are two pieces. That's a piece and that's a piece. So in this word, there has to be two pieces. If there's two pieces right here, then you got to go find the two pieces. You understand? This is a two piece. We went up. Okay, that's two piece. That's two pieces. We saw two pieces. So when you look at a word, you got to find out the pieces. So the first piece that you want to find, it depends on how you're, if you like me, I look at the smallest piece I can. So the smallest piece that I look for first is this ending, because I know my endings, right? I know T, I know Ta, I know Nu, I know Tim. I know those. And I know that these endings in these Tav sounds lets me know that it's a U, and it could be a plural. And if it's plural, it's going to have an extra letter. If it's singular, it won't have a letter. If it's talking about I, myself, it would have the yod on the end, like ownership. You see? The Ta right here is you. The Nu right here, I know that that is what? We. I know that's my ending. So if I chop off and I break down and tear off the pieces, then I know what I got left. I'll take my pieces off. I'll get rid of them. So ooh, look what I got. I got my vocabulary. Oh, I got Ra'ah to see. I got Haya, mean to exist or were. I got Allah to go up, went up. And then I got another Ra'ah here, means to see. Okay. So see, to see, or to have seen, and all past, present, and future, or saw means something in the past. I know that it's in the past because all my endings are in the past. Those are past tense endings. And I know that there's nothing on the front right here, because if something was in the front, then it had to be a future tense. If it's on the end, it's the past. If something's in the middle of these right here, like this in the middle, then I know that that is the present tense. You see? So that's the game. That's all you got to do is learn the game, right? So part of our game, they're throwing some extra rules telling you, hey, because these are weak verbs, this is going to go off, this is going to leave, this is going to leave, and this is going to leave. And we're going to replace that all with yods. And that's what you see right here. Yod here, yod here, yod here, and yod here. That's all. But you would get confused because you're not used to seeing a resh, aleph, and a yod. You're not used to, there's no word like that. There's no word like this. There's no word like that. Hayi, there's no word. Haya, yes, but not hayi. But the more you familiarize yourself with the vocab, you'll be able to identify. That's all I can tell you. If you know the vocabulary word, you'll be like, oh, that's a weak letter. So that, oh, it's gone because of that. That hay's gone and is replaced by a yod. And that comes through time. So don't worry about it. Okay. Again, I'm focused on what's the endings and what's the root. All right. So there's these changes. And now they're telling you, hey, this is the past tense. Why is it past tense, everyone?
Letter at the end.
Yes. Which one out of this list doesn't have a past tense? Or I mean, which one doesn't have a letter added on to the end?
He went up
Yes. Why?
because it's already in hay.
It's already in a perfect. It's already done. They didn't feminize it or nothing. You see? And so you can see the changes. If it's a hay on the here, they got two hays next to each other. Oh, that can't be. That's against the rules. So we're going to turn that to a tav. Okay. So alatha. Okay. I got you. It went from this to this. Okay. And then what happens? Why is the yod there? Oh, the yod is there. Why? Because this needs to be replaced. Because the rule is if I add any of these other endings on it, it's going to change. It's going to go to a yod. You see, if I add any other endings, any of these little pieces, the Nu, which is we, the you, third person plural masculine, third person feminine plural. If we add any of these, we're going to replace the hays and they're turning into yods. So then it'll be this right here. Elenu, eletem, eleten, you see? We also already know that if you add the u on the end, right, the hay drops off, completely drops out. And then you got Alu. Alu. You see? So that's how it happens. And those are just rules you got to learn. And you'll learn it. But focus on past, present tense. Okay. If this is in the past, focus on the past, focus on the vocabulary. And then as you continue, you'll be like, okay, I know why that yod is there. Just try to, keep it in mind. That's it. All right. So we went over that. Now there's something different here, and see what you're going to get it is it's in the future tense. Okay. So now it's not in the past, it's in the future. So now they're going to tell us how verbs ending in a hey are affected in the future. See, because remember, I told you it's a past, present, and future. So they're going to tell us how that works. Don't let all the words and the, hey, UFS, UML, MPL, all this kind of stuff get you. It's just vocabulary terms, grammar. They're telling us that if it's in the future tense, the hey is going to drop out on certain words. On the future tense, the yod is going to replace. So how do we know how this works? Well, to keep it simple, what I want you to focus on right now is I want you to tell me in this word right here, what is the root?
Ayin, Med, and Hey.
Yes. So the tav and the yod are they're additions. Good job. So the tav on the front tells us something. What does the tav at the beginning in the front of a root mean? What does that mean?
It's in the future.
Yes. Now that you identified this in the future, because you got a letter in front of the root, tell me what does the tav mean in terms of a person? Is it first person, second person, third person?
Second.
Thank you. It is. And second is always you. Okay. But you also see a yod on the end of it. So this yod, right, this tav in the front is you. You know that. But what kind of you? Is it a male or a female?
It is
Huh?
female.
Thank you. It's a female. So from now on, in your mind, I want you to always remember this is future tense. That's future. And it's feminine. And it's singular. Okay. Second person, feminine singular. Okay. Here it is. Told you. You, female, feminine, singular. You will go up. Why I know it's feminine singular is because of these letters. That's all. I know my future tense letters. But if I don't know my root and I don't know my vocabulary, I would not be able to identify what's being added. That's the whole name of the game. Okay. So when I first got into the language, I was like, well, how do I know? There's all these different, is this the root, the tav and this to all? Guess what, you guys? There is no word in the Hebrew language for to all. Not here, not for a root. See? So you're learning. I thought, well, man, this language is going to be difficult. No, it's not. It's just what makes it difficult are the rules. But learning Allah to go up or to went up, that's not hard. Knowing the pieces, you got it based on memorization. These two right here tells you it's feminine. Okay. Now, the part that they're going to tell you is this. You see it this way, but what it needs to be is this way. And the reason why the rule is that way is because the hey drops out. Why? Because the hey is weak. So off the top, you and I should know that any root that ends in a hey is weak. It's not strong. So if it's weak, it means it's going to drop off or be replaced. Okay. And so if you think about that in agricultural terms, if you had a branch and it was weak, right? What would you do?
Cut it off.
Cut it off, or you can do also, what else could you do? If the branch was weak and you didn't want to cut it off, what would you do?
Run it back.
You would prune it, or but also too, you would support it. You would try to bring something in to support it. You understand? So that's how you got to look at this. Look at this like a branch or a tree or branches. Okay. So you're going to have some weak, something that's not as strong. So it needs support. So when something's weak, you put a stick on the side of it and tie it to it like a broken arm, right? So you can support it, right? Or you're not, so you're kind of like in a way replacing it, not with its own strength, but with the strength of something else. So that's another way to look at it. Okay. We went over that. Okay. Let's see. These are future tense. The tav in the front is always going to be you. And the na right here is going to tell us that it is plural. Okay. It's going to be plural. And then why do you know it's feminine? Because this is a feminine ending. The na is a feminine ending. Okay. But you can notice it all has the same root. Allah. Allah. It all will go up. So one root can have all these different ways of being said. You feminine, you masculine plural, you feminine plural, they masculine, and they feminine. They can all go up. So you could take one root and have it said like 6 to 8 different ways. And it will be that. And so what you need to understand is like, if I know the root, then I'm good. Okay. Well, what gets confusing is if you don't know that this hay drops off and is replaced by yods and stuff like that, or just drops off completely, or this becomes, it used to be a hay here. This caused the hay to drop out. This right here, this yod right here, replace the hay. That's all. You're going to get used to it. But in any case of scenario, when you're reading anything, I want you to always look for the root. You know that is all is to be upon, but to go out is Allah. So you got to know the difference between a preposition and a verb. You see, because this all by itself is a preposition. That's a preposition. Allah is a verb. And it's an action. And that action is being done by either a first person, second person, third person. It's either be done by masculine or feminine, okay, or singular or plural. That's how you got to understand it. And that's what you're going to always look for. So you just kind of put the pieces together. Finally, I want to tell you about this rule number 9. Okay, rule number 9 it's not hard, it's easy. Rule number 9 is pretty cool. It's pretty easy. I like it. We learned on page number 16, you go back and check your records, that the letter of the kaf is placed at the beginning of a word. It is a preposition, and it's what they call an inseparable preposition. Okay, it means like, like e.g., like here an example, ka Moshe, like Moshe. Now we're going to learn that sometimes the Torah uses a separate word for saying like, as you would have kamo. That's all. So one goes to just a letter by itself, and then the other one has a word that will represent. So prepositions could either be letters. Okay. So you tell me right quick, somebody off the top of your head, tell me what what letters are used for prepositions that you remember.
Lamed.
Lamed. Good.
The wa as well.
Yes, the wa. Nope. The wa is a conjunction. Preposition. One we got up here, right here, cough.
Cough.
Yep, and we got another one. The mim. Okay. So we got the bet, we got the lamed, we got the kaf, and we got the mem. Those are prepositions. They can either be as letters, as you see right here, or they can be as words. Mem on that one would be like this, men, okay? A mem and a noon together called min, and it had a little mock quaif there. Let me see what other preposition. That's a word. We got all, right? That's upon. We got el. That's 2 or 4. You see? So it could be a letter or it could be a word. You got lifnei, you got takath to be under, you got above, you got all, you got all these different words. Okay. But you also have letters. So easy ones to remember is the bet, the lamed, the kaf, the mem, and even the shin. Don't let me forget the shin could be a preposition. We don't see the shin that much, but it means that. Okay. Or which. Okay. So there's letters that could be that. So sometimes why am I saying this? Because you want to be able to separate things. When I see Kamoshe right here, I automatically know that this kaf right here is not part of his name. So when I see it, I'll be like, oh, that's like, and that's Moshe, like Moshe. See, it's just putting pieces together. So let's look at this in particular in dedication to Yared. This is for you. Yared, your name is in this sentence. How do you say your name in here?
You read that? Ready?
Yeah. Ya what? Yara do. Yadradu. Okay, that's how you say they went down. So what's the they in that in particular word?
The walk.
There you go. Because the wa can be used as a vowel of a U. Okay. It could be used as just by itself. It could be used as and. It could be used with a dot over the top as an O. Okay. It could be a U. It could be a U or a U. Okay. O or U. It could be and. Okay. So, and then you see on the end, it represents plural, they. So, yadradu, vimsoloth kamo. Kamo, again, they're talking about kamo here means to be like. Aven, a stone, okay? So, yadradu, vimsoloth, kamo, aven, meaning they went down into the depths like a stone, okay? It's a stone because it doesn't have a ha on the front of it, like the stone, okay? So your word that you're going to learn is called kamo. So anytime you see kamo, you'll know that, oh, it means to be like, okay? That's what it means, kamo. That's the easy part of the lesson. The other part is like, you got to really get your brain wrapped around that if you don't know it. So here's some other examples. Like you can add, again, we can add prepositional type endings onto this word kamo. And so here are the words that you have. So kamo is like. So if you want to say like me, I would say what? How you say like me? Ka. Kamoni. 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 That's how you would say it, like me, kamoni. Okay. I'll say it, and you tell me what I just said. Ka-mo-ha. Ka-mo-ha.
Like you.
Ka-mo-ha. Ka-mo-ha.
Like her.
Thank you. You hear that? Ha. Yes. So como is like, and ha is her, right there on the bottom. You gotta be listening for that, right? So como, and then ha, como ha, como ha. Now I'm gonna say como who, como who, como who, como who,
Like us.
como who, como who, como who, like him, because this letter or this ending, who right here, that's an ending. So you find a como and you take the ends off. So I want to show you. You get the como and then you just look at the ending. Oh, that's female singular. That's ka. Oh, that's you on the end. Oh, okay. Como ka. Como ka right here. This is probably an exception. Okay. In terms of how they got the letter, because this right here is exactly the same as here. Como ka. Komoka. Okay, so komoka means like you, masculine singular. Komani is like me. Komanu. See, that's an ending. 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 Okay, and these are endings for they're prepositional endings. Okay, that you could put on them, but also too the same endings that you have right here are put onto nouns as well. If they were verbs, would it be a kaf and a mem? Or would it be a tav and a mem? Which one of these is a verb and which one is a noun?
Hmm.
And now would be the tav and the mem.
The nouns are always going to be, and I'm going to tell you because it took me years to understand it. When it has a kaf, it's going to be with any of these, como ka, or, whatever the kaf is, it's always going to be attached. It's going to be a noun. That can also be added onto prepositions. They don't add kim to a verb. All verbs are going to have the tav, like T on the end, or it's going to have the ta, it's going to be ta, or it's going to be tut like this, or it's going to be the tav in the mem, or it's going to be the tav in the noon. See? So the verbs have the tavs, the nouns have the kets, the kafs. That's all you, and you'll remember this over time. Just, I wanted to tell it to you because there's so many different endings, but you got to know, well, what am I talking about? Am I talking about a verb? No, this is like using the ni right here. That won't be on top of a verb. It's not. Okay. So what I want you to know is you just add endings. So you just take this piece and add new to it, add kim to it, add ken to it, add him and hen. So I go right up here, us, that's first person common. Okay. Singular, common, one group of people. Okay. You, that's that kim right here, that little cough right here. That's you. I don't care if it looks like this, and if I don't care if it looks like this, it's still you. See? So you will get confused and say, well, I thought the tav was. In a verb, the tav on the end is I, or the tav on the end is just by itself like this, ta is you. Okay, if it's added on to the front of a verb, it's you. You'll never see a verb with a kaf on the front of it as representing you. That's how you can know the difference. Okay, so you get to find out what your endings are. This one's plural, why? And it's masculine, why? Because it has the mem, the final mem, and it has a noon. So as soon as you make up your mind and say, well, this is a mem on the end, so I know that's masculine. And so I know mem comes before, noon, like M and N, then I know the noon has to be right next to it. So that's the feminine. Okay. I know the same thing right here and that one right there. Oh, that's a final noon. So that's feminine. I know that. I know that right there is a mem. So that's masculine. I got that. I know it is plural. Why? Because it's 2 letters versus 1. Those types of things. Okay. And just the ending what it is. Okay. So there is no one like Yahweh. Ein komoka. Elohim Nebat Shamayim. There is none like him. Okay. So you're going to see different words like that. So just putting endings. That's all you're doing. You know, the key ain't of the kamohu, the ba'aretz. You know, there's no one like who. There isn't anyone like him in the land. And that's what Yah said about Eob. There is no one. Ki ain kamohu the ba'aretz. Any questions? So I'm only giving you these few pages today for you to learn about. And I'm going to send them over to you. And I don't know if I did. I've already sent it. So you can study this week and just understand. Don't be too hard on yourself. Just find out what the rule is and move on. You know, because if you try to say, well, I'm going to stay right here until I figure this rule out, it's not going to do you any good. It's not going to do you any good whatsoever. All right. Any questions? If not, I'd like to say thank you again for you guys and your time that you spent today with me on the Shabbat. And I'm happy that you're able to learn more about your culture and your language. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Toda Rabah.
Toda Rabah.